Hello, Solcana coaches and athletes. Welcome to my very quick and dirty smashing tutorial. Why do we smash? Our muscles are strong, they get kind of bunched up. Stretching tends to stretch the things that are sort of the most likely to stretch, and smashing deals with the tightest, strongest parts of our muscles directly. So, in brief, smash first and then stretch if you can. Ideally you're warm. 3 to 5 minutes per muscle group is a good rule of thumb. I'm going to run through a bunch of smashes very quickly so you can just sort of have some ideas of how to target different areas. Starting at the ground up, our foot. We can do this standing. We can just roll around on a lacrosse ball, standing or sitting as you like. We can also work on our ankles and do some kind of focused scrubbing around. We can hold the ball still and actually make the skin sort of slide around. We can get around our malleolus here. We can even do some Achilles off to the side stuff to make sure that's nice and loose. Again, standing or sitting, plantar fascia, all that good stuff. Calves. There's a bunch of different ways to get at calves. Another good thing to think about for rolling is that we want to work across the muscle fibers. So I have a kettlebell here. I could lay a yoga mat over this to insulate my skin from the cold metal, but I'm moving side to side. So I would try to get this whole area side to side in 3 to 5 minutes, and then do the same thing on the other side. So a kettlebell handle is really good for that. We can work on a barbell. Sometimes getting the barbell up on something is nice. Barbells are nice because they have this thinner side, which is more direct, and this thicker end, which is a little bit less direct, and we can do some point and flex while we have our calf sort of being smashed there. Ball on the floor is harder. We want to be able to relax and not have to hold our toe up. So on the floor, it's a little bit hard. This is actually working okay. We can put our ball on a block, like a plate or something, and that's going to work a little bit better to have our ball on a plate of some sort like that. Quads. We have a bunch of different options for quads. We could do something sitting, where we get our kettlebell handle in here and we do this sitting. We don't have the option of moving at the knee, but our quads are nice and loose here because we are flexed at the hip. So if we wanted to take that to a bench or a box, then we could get in some of this knee movement as well. So that's one way to get quads. We can also get inner thigh, similarly, by just laying it out here, doing inner thigh. A little harder to do outer thigh. We can also put our quad on something. So on a ball, I'm on the ball here, and I'm just going, again, across the muscle fibers, and here I can work in some of that knee flexion while I'm smashing. Also easy here to get inner thigh, like so, and I could get outer thigh, and if I don't want to put a ton of weight on my outer thigh, I can just have my hip down. If I wanted a ton of weight on my outer thigh with a ball, I could suspend my whole body here. Oh, for people who are doing this kind of smashing and their shoulder gets tired, grab a big cloth bolster, and then people can just sort of lay on that bolster and be at the right height for any kind of smashing. We could also use our barbell either across this way for smashing, or potentially like an outer thigh smash like so. Again, we try to do some sort of rotation so that we're getting across the muscle fibers as best we can. A little awkward with that. And of course, a foam roller can be used for all of those as well. But we don't have enough foam rollers for everyone, whereas we do have enough barbells for everyone. Inner thigh, we would want the foam roller perpendicular to our thigh bone, and then we can roll across those inner thigh muscles like so. It's so good. Oh my gosh, outer thigh. Most times people just suspend themselves like this, but again, we want to go across the muscle fibers, working from the knee up to the hip, and possibly even into some of this hip flexor stuff, so we can get into our hip crease, hip flexor thing here. We could do some movement of that hip there. An oft neglected smashing possibility is our core. So coming around between our pelvis and our ribs for the obliques, rolling around here, we could get a slam ball just under our rib cage for some of these. So obliques and abdominals here, smashing our core. Glutes. Glutes are next. We can smash our glutes just on the floor, like so. So just sitting in this kind of boat position and rolling around the hip socket is gonna get all those different glute muscles. If I want more focus, I could put a ball on the floor. I'm probably laying back. This is gonna get me my like kind of upper glute and outer glute. Again, rolling around to try to get across the muscle fibers, useful there. If we wanted to get into low back, it can be ideal to have something to put our feet on, a wall or a bench, so that as we get the ball into the low back, we have the legs engaged for some control elements there. Again, scrubbing sort of across the like erector spinae muscles for that. All right, lats and tricep. We could hit foam roller for our lats. We could hit barbell for our lats. We could also do the same for triceps. So foam roller is gonna be nice for all this lat stuff here. We can get all the way up into the armpit. We could do some of that on a kettlebell. That's gonna be really focused for a kettlebell handle. We could also do our tricep here. Tricep could also be on our foam roller. And again, we're sort of doing this wave where we're getting across the fibers and doing some movement at the elbow. Both of those could also be done with a bar on the rack. So again, laying my tricep across, pressing in with my lats kind of under the underarm. This way I can control more how much pressure I'm putting on those muscles. Upper back, we could do this against the wall where we drop our lacrosse ball down. We could also just sort of lay back and roll the lacrosse ball there. And then we're just sort of scooching around to find the places that we want to work on. Generally sort of going around the shoulder blade and a little bit more gently on the shoulder blade. And we can do some arm movements while we're loaded up on our rhomboids and such. We can do some push-pull. We could hit the sub-scap. What else? All of these different rotator cuff. Oh my gosh, so tight in there. We can do some of this kind of wave. We can even get into our traps if we put the ball under our shoulder here. And then if I bridge my hips up, oh, it's just giving me so much trap. And I could do some movement here. While I'm here, I can also put this ball right at the occiput of my skull, lay back, and then just do a little bit of head turning. And that's gonna roll the ball side to side under the occiput of my skull, getting those like neck muscle attachments. Oh my gosh. Finally, these anterior pec, shoulder, deltoid things up in here are chronically tight for us. So anything up in here with a ball is gonna be useful. We could get our ball on the end of a PVC in a corner, and that's gonna allow us this freedom of movement with our arms, so we can do some push-pull while we're really leaning into that ball. Otherwise, we would wanna have the ball like on a post on the rack, so we have this freedom of movement and can really lean in, pinning down the tissue while we're squeezing our shoulder blades together back, doing some push-pull stuff here. Oh my gosh, that was a whirlwind of self-myofascial release. To give you some ideas. Reach out if you have questions about any of that.